What's up, everyone? Welcome back to Valiant Volumes. I'm Dan, CEO and host, and next to me I have...
Makayla Mitchell,
What's up,
otherwise
Mac?
known as Mac.
What's up, Mac?
What's up, man? This is our end of the year podcast.
Yes, it is. See that? Like, I'm tired. It's the end of the year, and I'm just...
I don't know. I heard that when you work out and you eat right,
Yeah.
you're not as tired. So,
that could be true, but...
yeah. Well, we made it.
Yes, we did. It was a great year.
I feel like the last 2 months really flew by. Like, as you started talking about planning for your Christmas, it was like, cool, you did things ahead of time. You started doing stuff in November. And then all of a sudden, I hear you telling me that, like, the last week of December is rolled around and you're still putting up a tree on Christmas Day because you fell behind or you just had so much to, like, fit in, right?
I did. For those of you listening, I put up... I don't know how many I had, like over 10 for sure. Like I had over 10 trees, different styles of trees. I can make it pop up here. Boom, boom, boom. See all
like,
these different trees.
Wasn't it everything from like a 12-inch tree to a 12-foot, or was it?
Yeah,
higher
so
than
like
that?
I have a mini tree that was like a foot tall. Then I got my mom's sizes tree, which is 5 foot tall. Then I got a 6, 7. I don't think I have an 8, 9, and then 12. And then I got a couple of like 7s. Like I think the one that's 8 is in my room. So a couple different ones, but. Nonetheless, a lot of trees to put up. I spent a lot of hours. My niece was super happy and excited about the tree, so it was good. It was a fun holiday time for me this year. So
I feel like there's a lot of people that struggle with the holidays. It's like it's a 0 to 60. It's either you love them or you hate them.
Yeah.
But what is it about the holidays for you that has such an appeal?
Oh, that's a good question. By the way, I love Christmas.
Yeah.
Like if you don't know me, like I love Christmas.
Okay.
I don't know. I think just for me, like I just had a great childhood, like around Christmas. So like, although like we weren't like super well off or anything, or probably like lower middle class, like my parents just made sure that my Christmas was always good. I always had like a bunch of presents underneath the tree. My dad would like come in as Santa Claus. For real, like this was for like so myself and my sister would be sleeping in a room, right? And then my dad would come in the room, have a bell, and say like ho ho ho, Merry Christmas.
I didn't know all this.
You didn't?
No.
Oh, I never told you the story then. So like he would come into the room, say ho ho ho, Merry Christmas, and then like the strong man that he was, he'd pick us up both, like in both arms.
Yeah.
And then my mom would take pictures, and like he would take us to the living room where all the presents were underneath the tree. So like it was just such a great time. Like my parents just made sure like Christmas was a good thing for me. So that and the smell of cookies and cupcakes and the cakes that my dad used to bake, now that my sister bakes. By the way, if you need bakery, go to Pseudo Bakers.
Yep. There you go.
But yeah, it was just a great time, and I just love it. So
that adds a whole new meaning to the phrase that your niece calls you Dana Claus. Because you kind of look like your dad when he was younger from photos you've shown me, and so
for sure.
Dana Claus is real.
I just haven't worn a Santa suit yet, though.
Would you get one?
I wouldn't mind, like, if I probably passed, like, 55.
You're getting there. You got to have the custom one, though, so it, like, fits you properly and everything.
Yeah.
But
I would. But no, like, Christmas is great. Like, we did a lot, too. We went to, like, 15 different places. I mean, you came with some of us, like, for some of the places. Like, I thought College Station was an awesome place to be.
I never would have thought that College Station is the place to go for all things Christmas.
I know.
But that was its own theme park in itself.
It was. I mean, shout out to College Station because I went there twice this year.
Santa's Wonderland.
Yeah, it's a 3-hour drive from Dallas, but like it's just worth it. So, went there once, and then I just saw like how amazing it was with all the different things to be able to do out there.
And one of the first things you said about it when we got there is, what is their marketing like?
Yeah.
Why haven't I seen ads like this in Dallas?
Because they don't run ads in they don't run ads in Dallas, but I know they do in Waco.
Because as we got to, the Magnolia Market, we talked to somebody who worked there, and they're like, I've seen an ad for that. So
yeah. So like that was interesting.
Yeah.
Because we're always looking at things from a marketing perspective too. So, but yeah, no, Christmas was great. How was yours?
I mean, I'm still celebrating Christmas. Yeah. I'm going to see my mom and my sister this afternoon to celebrate with them. But I feel like I'm used to that, like having so many different Christmases, whether it be like with my family in Indiana or like specific with my dad, my mom, my Arlington family. So it's never always been like one day of Christmas, and then also just like celebrating with you too. So
yeah,
it's an extended holiday, I guess.
Didn't you go out of town too for Christmas?
Yeah, Indiana.
Yeah, how was that?
I love going to Indiana. It's like my home away from home. If anything, it is like the place that I would consider the most like home. So
Right.
all my cousins, because my parents taught me and my grandparents taught me that your cousins are your first best friends.
Mm-hmm.
So going to see them, which interesting enough, I
Mm-hmm.
saw an article or no, it was TikTok. TikTok
Article.
TikTok told
Yeah, let's
me.
be real.
No,
It's TikTok.
TikTok showed an article
Got
about
it.
something about cousins and how the amount of cousins are declining just because of the
Mm.
rate of how people are having kids and stuff. But
Yep.
then it started to dive into like how having a cousin as a best friend
Uh-huh.
actually has a lot less pressure on it, because
Mm-hmm.
it's not like having like your direct sister or brother, like that
I
pressure
see.
of that responsibility, and it's not like
Yeah.
having a friend you have to keep up with. It's like that
Sure.
person you still have an intimate relationship with because you share the same family. You can talk about the same
Mm.
people and like have that same connection. Like there's just so much in common that
Mm-hmm.
you don't have to force, and it's like an
Yeah.
easy relationship to keep throughout the years. And so I was like, I really
Yeah.
resonate with that. But,
And that's cool that you have that with your family, because I know, like, to the point that you just made, like we used to do that in Japan, like with our Japanese side of the family, because my
mhm,
dad's side of the family was just too old. A lot of them had already passed away. But
mhm,
on my Japanese side, we used to do that. And the cool thing I remember that you shared with me is that you and your cousins took a picture.
mhm.
Remember, like I think you were holding one of the babies, weren't you? Somebody was holding somebody,
Okay.
but there's like 4 or 5 of you there in the picture,
Mhm.
and then you guys took another picture. Like it seems like you guys meet up like every year,
So
like the four or five cousins.
yeah,
Am I right to say that?
yeah. Well, there is one picture.
Uh-huh.
I don't know if this is the one you're referring to, but there's a picture of my sister and my other cousins holding me up.
Oh, that's you.
I mean, I'm like 20 years old in it, and they're holding me up because
Yeah.
I said, let's do this. And they said, okay.
Yeah. Okay.
But no, yeah, we are very close. And
Mm-hmm.
as we're getting older, it's even cooler because we get to like have relationships outside of what's just facilitated with the
Yeah.
family of like, okay,
Yeah.
we're making you guys get together.
Yeah, and not to put your family's business out there, but like your sister lives with one of your cousins.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
which is cool.
The most random thing ever. They both just
Yeah.
happened to be looking for a job or a school opportunity in the same town outside of both of the states
Yeah.
we live in.
Yeah, we're not gonna mention the states.
Yeah. Whatever. Well,
All right.
outside of Christmas,
Mm-hmm.
what's the year been like for Valiant for you? What do you want to recap?
Oh, where do I want to start?
Maybe just with like, how was the year overall? What stood out to you?
Yeah.
maybe?
Look, like I tend to look at the positive stuff, most of the time. So like the year was fantastic. Like I mean, it was a great year for Valiant because like there was a lot of, as much as there were a lot of challenges that we overcame and we're still working through. On the flip side, I think there was more positive things that happened within Valiant. To name a few, I mean, obviously our revenue grew. So like compared to last year, we're like up 50% in revenue, which is an indication that the organization is growing. So like and then you couple that with the fact that we have a bunch of new team members, which is good. We have more sales. So there's a lot of good things that happen. But with a lot of those good things, as an entrepreneur, like if you've been in business for a long time, as things grow, there's also headaches and challenges that come with that growth though. So it's not just like, oh, you got more sales. It's yes, you got more sales, but now you got to be able to service all of those people that you're bringing on into the agency. You know what I mean? So that means you got to bring in new team members. You got to train the new team members properly. There's a lot of headaches and challenges that you go through with the positive things that are happening. So like it's both. Like it was a great year. The overall, I mean, it was a fucking fantastic year. I have no complaints. Like I just really don't.
So like with those growing pains,
Yeah.
what was one of the most valuable lessons that you learned?
Oof, there's quite a few. I think the biggest thing and it's a continuing thing. I think it's just really having the right team in place. Like because like this year, like the second half of this year, like I really removed myself from like the day to day, like I wouldn't call it grunt work, but like the building of the ads or like onboarding a client. Because like the last handful of clients, I didn't show up to the onboard call because the team's able to handle that at a high level. So like those things I don't show up for, which used to which I had to be on. But now, like, instead of me being on those kind of calls, like, I'm able to, like, step away and focus on the brand building, like, being on this podcast. I mean, there's a lot of different things that I'm working on to be able to grow, like, so inserting, like, AI automation and rolling that out to our clients, or, like, working with, Marissa, our director of operation, to be able to create this, place through a software that we call Notion, a one-stop place shop or a software or landing page for our clients to be able to see their invoices and the assets and the ad campaign results and like, inserting like what's new with Valiant. So like this one page that clients log into and they can see everything that has to do with Valiant and what they're doing for their marketing. So like, that's a lot of work that takes place, but like those are the things I'm able to focus on to continue to improve our customer experience, but then also like makes the life of our team members better. So that's been my focus the last 6 months, and it's been great that I'm able to actually work on those things.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Getting away from the hands-on day-to-day activities that
Yeah.
allow Valiant to do its thing that you figured out a while back.
Hmm.
But with also the Notion, right?
Yeah, Notion. Yeah.
Piece of it.
Hmm.
That, I know it's not fully complete yet, right? It's still a work in
Oh, it's like
progress.
90% done.
Okay.
It's rolling out in January,
Okay. Well,
like
from
next year. Yeah.
what I've seen, it definitely seems to make the client's experience so much more just like user friendly, and seamless. Everything's in one place, because I know like using a Drive or a Dropbox or just something where all the folders are in different places. Did I click on the
Yeah.
right folder? Is there a folder within a folder within a folder? Like,
It's like that.
right, but like
Yeah.
this makes it so much more beautiful, and it's like it's all right here. You don't have to figure out.
And it's
Is it
branded.
the link from the email? Is it
Yep.
where is everything?
Yeah, they don't have to go and search like, oh, where do I need to go to find that invoice,
Yeah.
for tax purposes or whatever, right?
Right.
They just go to the login for Notion that we provide, and it's all there. Their invoices are there. The marketing assets, they're like, well, shit, I need to use the video for, the videos that Valynt Digital created. Instead of them scrolling through their email, they just go into the Notion platform that's designed for them, and they click on content, and then they can see all the videos, all the graphics, all the copy that we've created for them. So it's just really one place for our clients to go. And then there's a knowledge base there too, like, oh, what's the best practice to handle the leads that are coming in? What's the best practice, when we're making phone calls to the leads? All of this information is just going to be in one place. So
It seems like it's so much more customized to like, rather than saying, Valiant uses all these different platforms
yeah.
to get you where you're going. It's Valiant has this tool that has all of the things right here for you. It's more, it's elevating what Valiant's doing, and it has just a more like you're your own entity instead of just using a.
Yeah.
I don't know if that sounds it's coming out correctly, but it's just it's
I understand
elevating
what
your
you're saying.
game, and without a visual, it's hard to describe.
Yeah, I mean,
but
we're gonna roll it out, but the point with Notion is it just makes the customer experience that much better, and then also like it helps our team like not have to respond to like emails like, hey, can I get my invoice, or can you resend me the videos that you guys created? They're just directed to one spot. That's it.
Yeah.
So like it helps them like cut that time down with like client interaction, while simultaneously making the client interaction and their experience with Valynt Digital that much smoother.
Yeah.
Less headache. So like it's just another selling point for ourselves. You know what I mean? Like selfishly, it's just another selling point because a lot of agencies don't have that. They don't take the time to understand what the client's pain points are. And that's what we're actually good at doing that. Like that's how we've improved our agency is, hey, what are people complaining about?
Yeah.
What are their challenges? And granted that some of these challenges aren't our problem, but like if you ever look at a client's problem as not your problem, you fucked up and you failed as a business owner because it is your problem. They're your customers, they're your clients, they're your partners.
Yeah.
Like it is our job and our mission to make sure that their life is easier and then we get them to where they're supposed to be going.
Yeah, you and I both have made a decision on which type of business we want to work with based on how easy the user experience was.
Yep, for sure.
Whether that be the place we go get coffee, or whether it be the platform that's going to be using for business,
Less
or just
friction.
who you're going to be buying products from because their return process is XYZ. Like we've both done that, and so
for sure. And just since we're talking about returns, I think you know what I'm about to.
I didn't even mean that to happen, but tell me more.
Just off topic. Look, I bought a bunch of Christmas because I put up like 10 plus trees, and I put up 3 new trees this year. I think 3 or 4. I can't even count. But I bought a bunch of like Christmas ornaments. Because you buy extra. Like me, like I'm the type of person, instead of having to go back and forth from one store to the next, I just buy a bunch. And this company that's blue and that starts with a W, they would not take my Christmas ornaments back that I didn't use. And then that policy is nowhere to be found. It's not on the receipt. It's not when you're buying it. Like they don't tell you none of this. And they're like, oh, you can't return it. So I just left it on the counter yesterday.
Okay.
And I was like, well, I don't need it. Like, what am I going to do with it? Use it for next year? No, I'm going to buy new shit next year.
Yeah. I mean, even more specifically, like I think those specific ornaments were bought very last minute. And in that same like excursion where you went to go find the
Yeah.
ornaments, you went also to at home where right up on the last day you can buy
Mhm.
ornaments before Christmas. It's like
Yeah.
half off and everything. And when you went to go return some of the ornaments at home,
Mhm.
their policy is you can return the Christmas stuff after Christmas,
Yeah.
but you get it at what it's being sold at now. So if you bought it full price before Christmas, you now
Mhm.
get it returned and you get
Sure. And
half
I
back.
get that.
And
Like,
they're very clear about that. Like they tell you
right.
that up front, or they start putting things on discount. But then with this other place, they were like, no, we just don't accept
But
any
I didn't
returns.
know about it.
We looked on the receipt, nothing. We looked on their website, nothing.
Nothing.
And what happened when we called?
They told me it's like food, and they said you can't return food, but I'm thinking to myself, that's a stupid analogy because I can return some foods.
Lots of foods you can return. I feel like there's less foods
What
that
is the
are.
terminology, like non-perishable? Is
Yeah,
that
like if
right?
you probably can't return like the deli salami or the
Yeah.
deli cheese, but a
Yeah.
lot of other products are. And so
Yeah. I'm not gonna harp on it, but it just came to my mind.
but
That's all.
moving
Yeah.
forward, you know now when you want to.
Hmm.
I mean, the question came to mind: what about Valentine's Day stuff? What about other seasonal items?
Yeah.
Just decor that's seasonal, anything like that. So now moving forward, you know that business is not going to have your seasonal decor
Hmm.
purchases because what if it just didn't work out? What if you don't like it?
Right.
What is the dates that we need to know about?
They could just have a sign that says non-returnable after Christmas.
Yeah,
That's
final sale.
Yeah. You just have to have it somewhere.
Just
That's all I'm saying.
let us
Yeah.
want to buy or let us be more
Hmm.
aware of
That's
how
our Christmas
purchasing.
rant.
Yeah. So, anyways, um, you mentioned.
Uh-huh.
Oh, okay. Was there anything else you wanted to add about lessons learned before I ask you a question?
I mean, there's a
Further?
bunch of little lessons
Okay,
that I've
fine.
learned. Like, um, I mean, ads. Like, there's a lot. I don't think I need to go into detail because it gets too techy. Like
Okay.
those, like, but if I summarize it, like in terms of like ad bills, we learned a lot this year
Hmm.
in regards to the type of audiences that really resonate with certain industries when it comes to capital raise and being able to generate the right, more qualified leads for the capital raise, whether it's a Reg A, Reg D, or Reg CF, um, on the back end, which means that clients are getting more leads at a lower cost per lead. And one thing which is pretty interesting this year that we learned too is that we've always harped on videos working the best. We know that because video tells a story, and video has its place in every single digital marketing campaign. But what's interesting is certain industries. I'm not going to name them for the sake of us knowing this data. But for certain industries, images work well alongside videos, and if you combine videos and graphics a certain way, images end up working better. And cost per lead for some of these capital raises that we're running right now for like companies out in like Germany, and even here in the US, is coming in at $10 per lead or $9 per lead. And I
Wow.
looked at it this morning before we're on this podcast. So like these are real numbers, like images. But of course, like some of these are retargeting campaigns. Like if you know anything about advertising, these are some of the retargeting campaigns are working really well with images. Um, and obviously videos, and even at the top of the funnel. But again, it's going to get a little too technical, but we've learned a lot about the audiences, the content that resonates with capital raises and lead generation as a whole, in real estate, in oil and gas, and SaaS, in healthcare, all these different, flying cars. I mean, you name them, we've learned a lot this year.
So, whether this gets a little more technical,
Hmm.
or you're able to give a higher level answer, how were you able
Hmm.
to figure out how to
Hmm.
optimize the ads like you've just talked about? Like, is
Oh,
there
that's
a
a great
process that
question.
you go through, or is
Yeah.
that something new you've learned this year?
No, no, no. Optimization, there's different ways to optimize campaigns. There's no one a right or wrong way to, well, there is a wrong way to do it.
There's
Let me
better
backtrack that.
ways.
There's better ways to do it to get to the answer that you want to get to. Because the goal with digital marketing campaigns when it comes to lead generation or conversion based campaigns, what you really want to do is be able to hit certain KPIs and to scale the campaign. But in order to get there, you have to know what metrics to look for and what variables to change on an advertising campaign. So for example, like this year we learned a lot about the content, right? So we were we were relying heavily on videos, but then we always insert graphics into these campaigns. But for whatever reason, towards the second half of this year, graphics just started performing better than some of the videos. But it's not that videos don't convert or it's not performing. It's just that for certain industries, we found that for whatever reason, and we're digging into it, you know what I mean? um, Graphics are just performing better by like a 2-to-1 ratio, or like half the cost. If cost per lead for, maybe videos for oil and gas was 35, is coming in at 1750. Those are, but then again, it depends on what type of campaign you're running it on, a conversion based campaign or lead generation based campaign, at what point you're inserting it into the campaign at, and then how many times a person is seeing the campaign. So like there's so many different variables though.
Yeah. I wonder if it
Hmm.
has anything to do with like part of the investment opportunity being more abstract or it being more straightforward and it
That
being,
could be. Yeah.
you know,
There's those things. Like I just don't want to give everything
no,
away,
I know.
but
I got you. I'm just
but
thinking
we
out
have
loud.
we have all those data
Yeah.
points. Like because we're spending a lot of money on capital raises every month. You know what I mean? So yeah.
Very cool. What else did you learn this year as a valuable lesson?
I learned that it is nothing against our team. I love my team, but it is very hard to get people to, I think a certain way and look at things a certain way, because all of our team members come from different backgrounds, right? That's what makes us unique, and that's also what makes us strong. But simultaneously, when you have individuals coming from different backgrounds, you also starting to run into challenges because they may have learned something one way somewhere else. And this sounds cliche if you're in business, like, it's just something that we understand, but being able to coach them through those areas of how to think and how to look at the business and what it is that they're doing within the organization is a pretty challenging task. It's not that it can't be done. It's just that sometimes it takes longer than you want it to take. So I think there's some learning curve there for myself as a leader too. On how do I approach these situations of where a team member is looking at it a way they shouldn't be, and how do I change their thought process? And the question becomes like, do I put them into some leadership, take them to leadership events? Do I start a book club, a Valiant book club, and read books on leadership? Or you know what I mean? Or do I make them, have them read a marketing book that I know is very helpful in changing the way they think about marketing? There's different things that we can do.
Yeah.
Mm.
I resonate with that because I remember back when I was in the bar industry and whenever we'd have somebody new behind the bar
Yeah.
that we'd need to train, it was almost like a blessing when it was somebody, or even just a server. It was a blessing when they didn't have previous industry experience because you got to teach them your way of doing it. That was the only way that they knew. You didn't have to course correct some other way that they learned because there's so many different ways that you might learn how to pour a drink, or you might just organize the bottles or something. And so with that going, even further into digital marketing, it's like there's so many ways to learn, and you taught yourself in a way that's not anywhere you can go to school and get a course.
You can't. No,
So
they're
it's
not
like
going
if
to
you
teach you.
want, if you want your methodology and strategy to like be replicated, you have to figure out how to teach it in a way that's either write it down and get it out of your head, or teach it to one person who can then replicate it. But just like I was saying the other day, it's like if it's not written down and you're just telling the next person to tell the next person, it gets lost in translation.
It does. Yeah, it really does. And and I think that's our I think that's Valiant's like next thing to really overcome. And one of the best ways is to implement a very strong and well thought out and executed SOP, standard operating procedure, right? So that's a big project for us that we're already starting to work on. So it's been in motion, but like it has to get done for us to be able to scale, because we're in our business, we're at the point where people are gonna take us to like the 20-30 million a year mark. It's a people thing. We get the results, we have the data, we know how to do the things. Now it's just taking that, tightening it up, execution wise, and then being able to scale. So yeah.
I think it's totally possible. It's just adds one more thing to the to-do list, right?
It is, yeah, for sure. But yeah, I think those were the big things. Again, the things that I just mentioned are things that every business really goes through. It doesn't matter, because you just correlated it to the bar industry. And that's the same thing in healthcare. It's the same thing in real estate. You know what I mean? It's all the same problems. It's just which industry do you want to build a business in to have the same headaches and the challenges to be able to overcome. And you start to understand that, especially when you start working with so many different industries, the problems that businesses have are all the fucking same. Yeah. It's you just go about it and solve it in different ways too, though. You know what I mean? But the problems are all the same. There's probably like 10 common problems that businesses face that they need to solve at different stages in their business.
Do you want to dive deeper into that?
No.
No? Okay. I didn't want to cut you off there, but so now that you do
Yeah.
have a team that you're able to step
Hmm.
away from the day to day,
Yeah.
really out of curiosity, but also I
Hmm.
think this is a question for those entrepreneurs who are in the midst of like hiring teammates.
Yeah.
What is your day filled with now? Like what other CEO
Oh, okay.
tasks are
That's
at
cool.
hand? You know, you
What do
mentioned,
I do every day?
I mean, you mentioned brand building.
Yeah. So
Um,
like Brent, like yeah, because like look, at the end of the year, one of the things that I always do, I'll start it here, is like I have this notebook that I've been working, like that I write my goals down every year. The last 2 weeks of the year, I start to put things in my notes on my phone, like personal goals, Valiant goals, and other goals that I have.
mhm.
And then I work off of that. So all the goals that I write, then I prioritize them. And then I have to like set aside like out of 50 that I write, I got to set aside 45 and focus on the five. Sometimes I personally focus on the three, and then I'll delegate the other goals that needs to happen, especially for Valiant, right? Personal goals, that's on me. But that's what I do on a yearly basis at the end of every year, and I suggest everybody do it because our team's gonna start doing it this year.
Yeah.
And I gave some of the team members last year and the year before the same thing.
It's a
So
dope notebook. Like you've given it to me now 3 years, and it's not just a blank notebook. It has everything from the beginning of mark your name,
hmm
and then what are your everything from like top personal goals to like
hmm
health. I mean, it has it all categorized.
career goals, yeah.
It has a space for you to do like a vision board, talk about the things that like you're most proud of, and then following all of that, it does everything from like the every day of the year. You can mark it
hmm
on your calendar. You can actually use it as a day-to-day planner. There's just
Yeah.
so much that you can put in that notebook where it asks you the prompts and everything. So
Yeah, yeah. So starting with that, now, the reason I bring that up, it just kind of goes back to the question. Like, there are certain goals that we have set for Valiant. I forgot the question. What's the fucking
no,
question?
yeah.
Yeah.
So now that you're not doing the day-to-day
Oh,
tasks of
what do I do as
Valiant,
a?
what is the
Yeah.
CEO's day filled with? Like,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So my day, I fill my day based on the goals that I have. That's what I was trying to get to.
okay.
I forgot talking
Trust me,
about
I
the
have a
note.
follow-up question too.
So yeah, so I use this notebook, and that's how like that's I have my goal set, and then based on those goals, my day starts to mirror the goals, right? Because like
Mhm.
my day to day has to focus on the top three, and I'll name some of them. One of them is brand building. So what does that mean? Like I'm creating new logos. By the way, we came up with a new logo for Valiant Volumes.
It's
So no,
exciting.
yeah, no. So no longer are we using that old one that Rafa created. Shout out to Rafa. Thanks for creating that initial one,
Mhm.
like 6 years ago. But we made it a more cleaner look, right? Because we got big plans for this podcast. It's not only us just talking on the podcast. It is bringing people on. It is using the podcast, for example, to be able to speak at different events. Those are some of the goals that we have for ourselves. So the podcast has to be revamped. So I'm working on that, and we already started that process.
Mhm.
The other brand building part is creating a lot of content for Valynt Digital,
Mhm.
because like without the content, how do you build a brand? You can't. Not in 2023. Not in you can't build a brand without social media content
Yeah.
these days. I mean, it is part of the brand building process, no matter what industry that you're in, whether you're in real estate or I don't know, you're selling cars. I mean, you just like if you have a on point social media game, then your business is gonna flourish. It just goes hand in hand now. There's just no way around it.
I mean, it
Wouldn't you
also,
agree? Yeah.
yeah, it also goes into like with the pseudo baker. Your sister has this wonderful bakery. I mean, cottage bakery. Her
Hmm.
products are great. You've helped with the digital marketing piece of it,
Yeah.
but there's not really, social presence for her.
Right.
And so
Exactly.
as she puts more focus into that, like that may
Yeah.
be the next step. Just like with Valiant, you put in all the hard work to get all the pieces right to make it a really
Hmm.
good product. And now it's
Yeah.
out there. You've got your clients. You're moving forward. You got the people to
Hmm.
do the thing. Now you can put the brand building out there to like get more
Yeah.
people in.
Yeah.
So
There's this whole thing that just came into mind. Like, Valiant is doing the brand building part on the latter side of our business from when we started. Cause look, we're 6 years in, right? We just passed 6 years.
mhm.
And like, I know last year was the goal for brand building. We started that process. Now we're building upon what we did in 2023. So I say that to say, like, I'm just talking out loud here, but some businesses focus on brand building first. And
And
there's really no right or wrong way to do it. But I don't know.
I
Isn't that weird? Like we just never really focused on brand building.
But there's an analogy that you
Mm-hmm.
and Chris said to me once about
Uh-huh.
like the cobbler's kids.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, I think the
Yeah.
cobbler's the right word. The guy that makes the shoes. So he's putting the shoes
Oh
together,
yeah, yeah,
and
yeah.
his kids don't ever have nice shoes. His
Because you're
kids
always
are walking
focused.
around barefoot, but he's making sure that his customers always have shoes. But why
Mm-hmm.
doesn't you and your family have shoes? And that came up to us
Mm-hmm.
early on when I was in sales is, well, why don't you guys have a social media presence? Why is your
Yeah.
Instagram years old? Well, we're focused on our clients
Mm-hmm.
and making sure that what we're actually providing is great. We don't
Yeah.
have time yet to focus on ourselves. And
Yeah.
as long as we had the lead generation going, we were good.
Yeah. We chose to do that. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? We chose to focus on the clients and book because look for me the way we wanted to do our social media and the type of content, and again, there's no right or wrong way to go build a business. I mean, you can do it 1,000 different ways. We just chose that we wanted to get our results right and the sales going, lead generation going, and then once we got everything completed, then it was my thought, even 3-4 years ago, that I'm going to focus on the brand building part of it.
Yeah.
So my day is filled, all that being said, my day is filled with brand building, and within brand building that means a new website. It means creating content. It means shaking hands with people at events. You know what I mean? Like in-person events. And one of the other things, that we're focused on is the city of Frisco. We're part of the chamber. It has been, a year-long kind of thing to be able to work with the city of Frisco, and we're there finally.
Yeah.
And
Rubbing
that,
elbows with the marketing team too.
yeah, at the city of Frisco. So that's a huge thing for us because city of Frisco is bringing a lot of different changes, positive changes, and is having a huge impact not only in the city of Frisco, but just all around them, right? DFW. So that's Prosper. That's it's bleeding over to Dallas, to Plano, to Frisco. Obviously, you name it. Like they have some sort of effect in the people within this community, what we call DFW here.
Yeah. And now with the branding being a focus, it's like you have something great to brag about now too.
Yeah,
So
for sure. Yeah. And then the other thing that I focus on too, is like the vision, like leading the team with the right vision, and then coaching them through all of the things that they're gonna encounter, because everything that they encounter, like no BS, like I've encountered it all. Like the unhappy clients, initially we don't really have unhappy clients anymore because the results are there. So let me take that out. But I think it's more so like, how do I communicate to a team member to get them to work with us, on the thing that we need to, like in a timely manner. That's something like you can coach them through that. I coach them through like the ad optimization. I coach them through like, hey, like, how should they respond to this type of email from a client? I mean, there's all these little things that I'm coaching them through, and then leading them through, and like really keeping the vision in front of them on that we're here to fucking win. Like that's all we're here to do. We're here to win for our clients. We're here to win for ourselves. And we're ultimately here to win for Valiant too. Yeah. So like that's part of what I do on a day-to-day basis. And I think I do it in different ways.
I like that. One of the final question that I did have for you today, kind of extends off of all of that, is some of the clients and some of the leads that Jagger's been talking to have asked about consulting. And I know that's part of the vision you have too of your speaking engagements or
that's on my to-do
talking to the
list.
right people. So like, do you or does Valiant offer consulting?
The answer is yeah. So we do consulting, like we consult for our clients when they come on board, and and throughout our engagement or our partnership, consulting is just automatically a part of it. But aside from that, we are opening up, and we have started to consult for businesses that are looking to raise capital or do lead generation or needs XYZ. So like I'm on the advisory board for Sniffle Health, right? So that's an app that has, I mean, so many benefits for people that needs like, prescription insurance or vision.
Dental?
Yeah, dental. Like there's like extra. Yeah, I don't know what the hell.
Yeah, help me.
At least
please.
you knew. Yeah, like so like there's all these type of like benefits for like $15 a month, and it covers like your entire family. And that number could change, so don't quote me on that number. But I know it saved my mom $200. Was it 200? How much was it? Shoot, was it $200? Like,
Save
yeah,
200 off of like maybe a
it's
$400.
$100 a month because I know it's $1,200 a quarter. You know what I mean? So it's saving her that much by just having that app and I presented that at Walgreens. But
Mm-hmm.
anyways, I'm on the advice. All that said, I'm on the advisory board there.
Okay.
So it goes back to like, yes, we do consulting. And what does consulting look like? We have just recently, we had a client that is that was actively spending money on the different digital platforms. They were spending six figures a month. So they came and said, hey, can you help us out, because we're not getting the results that we're looking for. So I said, sure, absolutely. So myself and Jerica got on a call. Within that call, I was going through their ads. Like I went through every, like, kind of like checking like everything that they're doing, right? From their audiences to their content to their automation. What type of ads are you running? Which platforms are you running it on? So like I did a whole walkthrough, and as I'm walking through it, I'm giving them the exact thing that they need to be doing and how to fix it and how to improve their ad campaigns to get to a better conversion rate and better cost per lead, and ultimately raising more money and getting a better ROAS, return on ad spend, right? So while I'm doing this, like I think that was like 45 minutes in,
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to names here, and I'm not going to name any names, but he was like, hey, look, you just know what you're doing. So can you just do it for us?
Yeah.
So the consulting call turned into a client, and then the benefit of that for that company is that they get to leverage our database too.
Mm-hmm.
So instead of just using, and the one big thing that they weren't doing is using like third party data inserted, that's like our list being inserted into their ad campaign, which had an immediate positive effect on lowering the cost per lead on their campaign. But all that said, giving you too much TMI probably, but we do consulting, and that's something that we're opening up for sure. And we already have. We're just kind of testing out the waters, but yeah, we're happy to consult and just give you the answers. But I can promise you, like, if you just want us to give you the answers, there's a lot of work that your team has to do
Yeah.
at a very high level.
Is
So
that something you really enjoy and want to do more of come 2024? Like more consulting conversations?
I do, like, yeah, I really enjoy like seeing what people's challenges are and then being able to just give them the answers or like help them through getting to where they need to go. So
Maybe
like I do love it. Yeah.
maybe Dana Claus will come out with a consulting digital marketing book.
I don't know about a book, but I do like doing it though.
Yeah.
I think that's why I want to do like mentorship, like here in the city.
Mm-hmm.
Like I sent and I reached out to some people in the city of Frisco, because they do have an opportunity for people like ourselves, like even me and you, to be able to go there and teach high school kids, and I think college students on marketing and just like how to build a business and stuff. So if they'll have me, I'm happy to be out there.
Yeah, there's a
Hmm.
lot of different groups. Like I know my dad used to be a part of like Junior Achievements, and
Yeah.
I think he's actually interviewed somebody from Junior Achievements in one of these studios
Oh,
before.
really? Oh, that's cool. Yeah.
But different programs like that will involve different business leaders and entrepreneurs with
Yeah.
high school, college kids. I mean, probably even younger in some
Hmm.
areas. And I think that's so important because, like we've talked about before, when people are just exposed to like one college professor or one
Hmm.
type of program that teaches
Yeah.
them one way, that's great. And they're going to learn a lot,
Hmm.
but you learn so much more from being exposed to so many different people and
Yeah.
opportunities and like ways of learning. And then you get to decide like what's best for you. And
Yeah.
I think we even talked about like some this morning about how do
Hmm.
you figure out what works best for your campaign. It's just
Yeah.
try different stuff and learn different ways.
Yeah, you have to. It's yeah, I mean, it's just critical thinking in
Yeah.
in real life, like school's great and stuff, and I agree, like, learning one way is great, but we talked about this in a different podcast, like, there's a lot of marketing students. I can only speak for marketing because that's the industry,
Yeah.
the vertical that I'm in, but a lot of marketing students are coming out not knowing how to use the 20 tools that's available to them. They only know 3 of the tools out of the 20. Not only that, they're not being taught how to think about how to build an ad effectively for real businesses out there. And I think that's a challenge that universities have that can be solved gradually by having people like agencies or people that are actually running the campaigns come in there and talk through like their thought process of how they actually build an ad for a business that's spending 10,000 a month on marketing, or 100,000 a month on marketing, or $1 million a month on marketing.
Yeah.
Because all those different stages that I talked about in ad spend, you have a different way of looking at the ad, and you build the ads differently based on what I just shared with you. So
Yeah.
mhm.
Well, I'm looking forward to seeing how your consulting for
Yeah.
businesses will, and talking to
Mhm.
students too, how all that will flourish in
Yeah.
2024. So
I think I can do it.
I know you can do it. It's just about finding the
Yeah.
time to
I'll
really.
tell them little kids.
Okay.
Let's cut it there.
Well, I think the next time we will
Yeah.
be in the studio is at the beginning of the new year.
Yes.
So
It'll be 2024.
thanks everyone for being a
Yeah.
Valiantpreneur for
We
2023.
forgot to say Valiantpreneurs today, didn't we?
I just said it.
Well, we forgot it at the very beginning.
Well, thank you everyone for listening. If you have
Yeah.
any topics or questions that you want us to talk about in an episode, it's always hello@valiantdigital.com.
Good deal. We appreciate everybody that listens and supports us and has supported us in 2023. So I
All right.
definitely appreciate it. Yeah.
Thanks, y'all. Bye.